Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today I have a very special guest on. I'm here with Cynthia, who is an emotion code practitioner. And since I've used the emotion code actually with her and I read the book, The Emotion Code, and I always get many questions about it, but because I'm not a practitioner, I'm not really the perfect person to answer these questions, because even though I read the book, I think, Cynthia, you'll be much better at explaining things. But before we start, why don't you let us know a little bit about you and how you came into this work?
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Melanie. And thank you for inviting me here today. It is such an honor to be here.
Yes, you're so welcome.
Thank you. I live in the United States, in a cabin on top of the mountain in the Allegheny. I started my energy shift to this kind of work 37 years ago when I became ill, but I didn't come across the emotion code and body code until years later. And when it came across my desk the first time, the emotion code, I ignored it the first two times. I thought, oh, there's no way that this can even be doing it. It just sounded so fake. But the third time, I knew that God had his hand in it. So I bought it. And when I started reading the book, I was more than amazed. I was shocked, actually, about what some of the things that were being stated there. And after that, I became an emotion code certified and a certified body code practitioner, and just kept going. The reason I started it, because I was so ill, and at the time, within 6 months, I was on 32 medications, and within 6 months, I had it under 5 medications, just due to working with the emotion code and body code.
Wow.
It was amazing. I was just...
Can I just ask you, did you in the beginning only practice the emotion code on yourself?
Yes, only on myself. And I worked with the emotion code and body code for 14 years before I ever even, 13 years before even charging someone. I couldn't fathom charging someone, just due to the simple fact is I'd been given a gift, and maybe there's people in my place that didn't have the money or didn't understand or whatever. So I thought it was my gift back to the universe to do what was right.
That is so amazing. I mean, I heard about you through a Facebook group. I actually can't remember the name of it, but it must be something along the emotion code and body code.
Right.
And a friend of mine said that everybody in that group says that you're an amazing practitioner.
Oh, how beautiful.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Yeah, that's how I found out about you, and that's why I reached out to you. But that's amazing. That means you've been with this work for so many years already.
Yes. And the modalities out there that you can aid with the emotion code and body code just help you to gain knowledge to help your clients. And that's what you want to do. You want to enhance everybody. And it's not everybody at once. It's one soul at a time, because you plant a seed, and that seed usually comes back when they actually decide that I don't want to feel like this anymore. I want to feel better. There's a better life. And there is.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Let me jump into the first question. And
sure,
I'm even though I've already read the book, I'm actually very interested in your answer, and several people who've asked me who I'm going to send this video. Because I can never explain, like, in some easy words, what the emotion code, the body code really is. Like, how would you describe it to somebody who's never heard about it and who hasn't read the book?
Sure. I guess I would start out by talking about our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. Our conscious mind is like a camera filter where you're taking the photos all the time, and it takes thousands a day. And then your subconscious is its hard drive, and it remembers everything we touch, feel, smell, everything that's ever occurred from utero and through. And when you work with the emotion code, remember that you work with energy frequencies that people do not see, because you can't see that frequency. You can feel anger or love, but you can't understand what's going on. But the emotion code works with just the emotional side, and there's so much involved in the emotional side, but it's really a blessing to get these off of you, these emotions, this emotional baggage causing pain. Now, the body code itself, it deals with toxins, your systems, your skeletal system. It deals with outside forces of our physical. There's just so much to it. And there's a lot to learn, but you can. And then you just keep growing from there and you get your niche. It is such a beautiful way and a complement to regular conventional medicine, because we're not doctors by any means.
Mm-hmm.
We actually work with the symptoms of the imbalance, the disease. We are not allowed to do that any other way. But
Mm-hmm.
when you deal with the symptoms, there's always another line, another underlying, and another underlying. And at times, because of our lifestyles and our choices, everybody thinks, oh, one session's going to fix it all. But unfortunately, depending on your age also, and all those layers that have to be peeled away to be able to get to that deep underlying imbalance that can help
Yeah.
you feel such a difference, a shift in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what I did understand and what I tell people when they ask me what the emotion code is that there are some emotions that are still vibrating in our body at a lower frequency. And if we don't let them go, then they keep vibrating at a frequency that we don't want in our life. Or they
Right.
can transform into things or illnesses or yeah. And just like you
Right.
say, I can relate to, I mean, we briefly spoke about this in my session. I think you mentioned that it is necessary to constantly let emotions go.
Yes, yes.
Would you say someone who is able to process emotion, what I mean by process emotion is really feel their emotion, maybe allow themselves to be angry or cry, is less likely to store a lot of emotion?
It depends on remember, it's all frequencies.
Yes.
And so our brain cannot deal with the emotions, but can deal with the pain. So when you have a vibrational frequency that matches another one, and there's several that will have the same vibrational energy, it will actually stick itself somewhere in a weaker part of your body. And then those
Oh,
pain signals start going off that, hey, I got a problem here. But people
okay.
don't realize, because of this unknown pandemic of emotional energy is at the root cause of so many things, that they don't realize if they would release the emotional things, and then if they need to supplement that organ, that gland, whatever, to help build it back up, because our body has the ability already built within it.
Mm-hmm.
When everything is made right, when everything's centered right, it has the ability to make well of its own self.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
just have to set that right.
Mm-hmm.
Did that
Well,
help?
yeah, I mean, I didn't put this as a question, but I'm just curious as we're talking about this,
Mhm.
whether, like, what's your advice how to go about things? Is it like if you feel there is an issue, I mean, I'm assuming that people probably come to you with concrete issues, but where to take it from there, like to do some of the emotion code on your own and with a practitioner, or what's your advice?
Well, Dr. Brad always teaches us, and he's the one that wrote the emotion code and body code, that we can do 20% of our own work. Now,
Oh,
this being, or excuse me, I said that wrong, 80% of our own work. But remember, with that 80%, you don't want to get in your mind's way. People don't remove themselves when they work on themselves, so they're a little bit too
mm-hmm,
close. And the
mm-hmm,
other 20%, you need another practitioner to
mm-hmm,
help you with, to help guide you. So
mm-hmm,
we can do a lot of work ourselves. We virtually can.
Yeah.
And it's amazing once you get in tune to the more of your emotions and how you feel and breathe, and it affects everything when you allow this a baggage to release. It is an amazing
Yeah.
feeling once you get, and it helps you get more in tune to your body also, you
Yeah.
know, the more, and you get really surprised when things come up, like per se you have a pain and it's been there what you feel like your whole life, and it comes back to when you were 5 years old, you fell and scraped up your knee and hurt your knee, and we release the emotions and the imbalances around that, and after suffering for 30 years it's automatically gone. It's
Yeah.
just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a gracious thing.
Yeah, no, the emotion code definitely is really, really amazing.
Yes.
This is a question further down, but this fits quite well with this conversation, is that yeah, how long does it take to teach yourself the emotion code, and can anybody do it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Anybody can do it. First off, you just need to purchase the book, which is under $30 on Amazon, is
Mm-hmm.
one way to do it. I believe you can get it from Discover Healing also, but it is so easy. The youngest person that does it at this time is 7,
Ooh.
and he can tell when there's a problem, and he can go through and read and knows what the imbalance is, but he goes to his mom to clear them for him. He tells his friends, he has all kinds of people come over. It's really funny,
That's so
but
exciting.
it is, he's going to have a great career.
Yeah.
But to answer perfectly, yes, anybody and everybody can do it. The only
Mhm.
thing is with this is if you can wrap your mind around about it and feel the love and the peace and the gratitude that goes along with learning this beautiful way of helping yourself and
Mhm.
helping others, yourself, one soul at a time. But also
Mhm.
remember that the divine has a lot to do with this, and he works through us. So it's his
Mhm.
work to help us to have that wellness. And it is
Yes.
such a great opportunity. Now, remember, some people may not be so inclined to work with the emotion code and body code, because a lot of people think it's hard for people to believe that something so simple can do so much, but
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
a blessing, and miracles happen every day. But it is
Yes.
so easy to learn. If once you read through the book, I read through it 3 times the first time,
Mhm.
just to make sure, because you read through it really fast and you're missing things. The second
Mhm.
time, some more things click. Third time, okay. Then
Yeah.
I started making notes and got out everything. So I had my first certification in the emotion code within the year, and
Mhm.
then the body code certification the next year. And then I've just kept going, getting more and more and more in
Mhm.
other modalities. But it is so easy to learn. And the
Mhm.
reason I feel that more people need to learn about this modality and the other modalities that are here for us to utilize is because we can do so much for ourselves and our friends and
Mhm.
our family. And we don't have to run to the doctor all the time. We can rely on how we were meant to rely on back in the olden days of taking care of ourselves
Yeah.
and bringing ourselves in acquaintance with our bodies, in tune with our bodies. So
Mhm.
we know when something just is vaguely off, we can go right into it, find the imbalance, and take it away.
Mhm.
Now, I know that for bigger things, yes, you have to go to the doctors, you have to go to the hospital. There's things that are uncontrollable. But the amazing thing is that the energy that is in the love and gratitude for this soul purpose is amazing, using the emotion code and body code.
Mhm.
For every soul I feel that it teaches and touches. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Um, so like I said, I've read the book and I've done a few sessions with you, but I haven't really practiced much by myself. For everybody else and me included, like what is a good place to start? Just a few minutes a day, or what would you suggest?
Well, Dr. Nelson teaches us when we first start, practice, 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 practice 100 times a day. So
I don't know
Yes,
if everyone
they can do
has that
it 100. I mean, that's a
dedication.
lot of time, but you can do simple things like,
Yes.
for instance,
Yeah.
muscle test. Is this the right color to wear shirt today? Is this the right shirt to wear? Are these the right pants to wear? Is this the right
Mm-hmm.
makeup? Is this the
Mm-hmm.
right perfume?
Start with
Is
some things that are not as
right, right.
important, maybe.
Right. That
Okay.
are not, that can visibly, that you can see, hey, this does work. And then when you're
Ah,
working with food, you can ask, is this food highly vibrational enough for my body to get the energy it needs from it? And it will tell
ah,
you yes or no. Start with the sway test. The sway test is
yes,
easy,
yes.
but people can with the sway test. The only thing is that if you cannot relax and get out of your mind and be able to breathe and just let yourself be and just relax and then hold that item to your chest. Like I have people hold good things and bad things, fruit, vegetables, etc., and
Mm-hmm.
watch as they release and relax and just breathe and they just think about what they're holding to their chest.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's good for them, their body wants this, they will sway forward.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that their body does not want in it, it will sway backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're utilizing it for the emotion code, remember, once you go into another person, you connect to that person, then you are virtually them. And you need to ask, is this, highly effective, whether it's, no matter what you are doing, if it's a statement, a phrase, if it's
Mm-hmm.
a word, is this causing this imbalance? And you have to really come in and go into yourself and allow all outside interference to
Mm-hmm.
allow it to sway which way.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, and maybe not in others, I feel that if you cannot settle those voices down enough, then that can sway your answer. So
You,
you can use it with
yeah.
cooking, anything. You can use it with anything,
But
anything.
would you say before you start practicing that you maybe have to calm down a little bit and just sit in silence for a few minutes before you
Yes. Ground
begin?
yourself,
Yeah.
shield yourself, go in. I always do a prayer, and I also do a prayer lightly when I begin, because we need to relax and let the answers come.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do not let the divine do the answering, they let their ego do the answering.
Yes.
And that's when you get wrong answers, and you can't allow that to happen. So to
Mm-hmm.
be a true healer of this proportion, you need to just let God guide you.
So it sounds to me like this work is also really useful for just getting more connected to ourselves, more connected to the universe, to
Mhm.
to divine energy and
To the
finding the
divine
right
energy, right?
answers. Yeah.
Right, because you have to think about it. We can also, in this work, so many people have trouble with their inner child or with their belief system, and there's so many imbalances. But when you go in and do this work, or they have no abundance in life, in
Mm-hmm.
relationships, in money, in
Mm-hmm.
keeping their house, or relationships with their loved ones, with their friends, with to attract someone, there are so many things that we can do to utilize this to help people come up. And I always tell everybody, you're going to soar like an eagle's wings. You're going to soar, because we're going to bring you out of where you are. But remember that if we're going to do this, we're going to have to work on everything as the body as a whole. That means your exercise component, your food component, your communication with outside, your people who are there for you when you need them to be there, your hydration, because that is so important, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep people from constantly thinking negative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People are, this is such an angry world, and everybody thinks negative so much. If we put in place for one angry thought 3 positive thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and we kept doing that, the changes it would make would be amazing, just to one
Yes.
soul.
In the book,
Mm-hmm.
I read that you shouldn't use the emotion code, for example, to answer a relationship question like, should I stay with this person, or is this
Right.
person good for me? And I didn't really understand if we're connecting to the divine energy, why we can't or shouldn't ask a question like this.
We can ask if somebody is a soulmate, but these are questions that the divine has already put in place. And these are things that, like the deadly sins, greed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When we ask a question like this, it can change the universe in a way that God didn't mean for it to change. And we shouldn't ask, are we going to have this? Are we going to have that? If we were meant to have that, if that was meant to be, we would be given a sign that that's the way that should be. And sometimes if you stop to think about it, he gives us one sign, we ignore it. He gives us another sign, we really ignore it. And then he gives us another sign and kind of hits us on the head. Do you got it now? Okay. And sometimes, we have to be told 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and it passes us by until finally we stop thinking about what it is. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh Lord, and I know he told me this before and I just blew him off.
Yeah.
Well, so it happens for reasons.
Okay. So the way I do it, I don't use the emotion code. I don't ask for a yes or no question. If I'm in doubt about someone or a situation, just something that's kind of out of my control and I feel confused, maybe I have already had a sign, but you know what you've just described.
Okay.
But what I do is I say something like, universe, please show me the way, or please just let this work out to the highest good. And when I do that, it always works itself out, like sometimes within days, sometimes within weeks. But the signs that I need, even if I don't ask for a specific sign, if I just say, please show me the way, then it will show me the way. So I don't actually think it's necessary to have like a black and white yes or no answer.
Right. And you can also, when you're working with things that you wish for, you can do visualization, you can do manifestation, but you can also put it into a full court of atonement, which deals with it at a soul level, and it's out of your hands. You don't question it again. If it was meant to be, it will be at the soul level. So that's in God's hands, which everything is in anyway, but it also depends on how we ask. I teach about blessing boxes. And these blessing boxes, if there's something you're concerned about or you've been praying about so hard, that you can put a picture in, you can write down, whatever it is you're praying about, and you can come over to that box and you muscle test. Do I need to pray over my blessing box today? Do I need to send it Reiki today? Do I need to bless it? What do I need to do? And the answers will come, but it's amazing as you take those out, as each one of them are answered.
It just came up another question that somebody asked me actually a long time ago, but I never really knew 100%, and I'm just curious your opinion. So somebody once asked me, if there's divine energy and if we are guided, then isn't it wrong to manifest what I want? Like, if I just sit and visualize what I want, shouldn't I just be with the flow? What would you say about that?
I understand the question. Manifestation can be in any way. And if somebody already has, let's work with money. If somebody already has a bunch of money, do they need to manifest money? Do they need to manifest more money? No. If someone is in dire straits and they are really struggling with money, with sufficing a roof over their head, food in their stomachs, and just the normal things that we take for granted, it is not wrong for them when they lay down at night and lay their heads down and ask the universe for 60 seconds, concentrate on what you would like to ask, what would you utilize it for, and then seeing it happen. Not to be, no greed, no malicious intent involved, only love and peace and gratitude. That is how you would do that.
That is such a good answer. And I did to some degree hear that somewhere else. I can't remember where, but somebody said, if I ask for something that actually benefits somebody else as well, it does something. Or I actually remember, I think it was a year or 2 years ago, I really wanted to manifest something. And then I said something like this. I said, universe, if you give me that, then I will do this and this for my two friends. And it
Ah,
happened, and I also held my promise to the universe
that's
that I
good.
would
That's
do this.
good. That's good. Because if you didn't fulfill your promise, that's kind of bargaining.
I don't know if you're
And
supposed to do that, but I don't, yeah.
but you fulfilled your mission and helping your two friends, and that's what it's about. It's about helping one another, one soul at a time, two souls at a time. That's what it's all about, because we're not supposed to look at ourselves, we're supposed to look at others. And
Yes.
that's why it's so important to me with teaching with Healers Enlightened Network and Subconscious at Work to enable each soul to be able to help others and to teach generations to come. And just think, they're finally embracing all of this type of modalities, and it will just continue to grow. But you have to remember, there's people that are not telling full truths and people that are telling full truths. So you can muscle test whether someone is or not. There's so many ways in which you can use these modalities, but we always have to use them in the right way.
Yes. Wow, that is really powerful, and I love this conversation. I'm just curious, looking at my questions, like, what are the things that usually people come to you for?
Whew.
Or is it all the
People
things?
come, oh my goodness, everything and anything. People reach out for chronic and acute problems, of course. That's a daily thing. But they also reach out for things like insomnia, acne, low blood sugars, belly aches, bone pain, back pain. Their kidneys aren't functioning right. They have rash all over them. There's just so many things. But the thing with it allowing for your body to actually make it well again is that they have to have the receptivity, meaning that they in their minds need to want to have this imbalance taken away.
Yes.
Not want it, because some people, not being cruel, but some
Yeah.
people in the world like to be sick because it feeds
Well,
them the attention they need.
I don't know I think sometimes that can be subconscious though,
Yes,
that you're
yes,
not fully aware that, I mean,
you're doing it.
I've been to so
Hmm.
many self-growth events. I read so many books, and I mean, even on my journey, obviously one step at a time, you just realize,
Yeah,
like, if you look back a few years, you're like, oh my goodness, what I did this because of this and this, and you're just
yeah,
realizing, and you weren't aware of it at the time. But
right,
yes, is this why you ask in your questions, are you ready to let this go?
right, right.
Okay.
First, when I start a session, I always has this, as I said, we pray, and then I always ask, is your subconscious receptive to allowing these imbalances to become well? And then your subconscious will give me an answer between 0 and 100%. Is it
Yes.
ready to release this? And when it says, nope, I have no receptivity, I do not want to release it. So then you go in and you ask, what is the deepest underlying imbalance that is causing the receptivity to not be 100%? Because the person is telling me they want to be, but why is the subconscious holding this back? So then you go in, and it can be a despair image. It can be anything. It can be even stuff from when you were 2, 3, 4 years of age that is stopping this emotional baggage from back then, still affecting you at 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. And then you allow that, you remove all of that and allow the subconscious to be 100% receptive. And then you go down and you ask the divine. You don't ask yourself, you ask, which would you feel that is the most important at this date and time to work on for this client first? And then that answer is given to you, and that's where you start.
Yeah, okay. And so how does somebody know when they're ready to let something go?
We ask when I do work like this, not everybody does it how I do. I'm a little different because I was taught differently. I ask, is it safe?
Ah,
Because not
okay.
everybody, not every time is like, if you're working on a heart wall, not always is it safe to release.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
always is it safe to release certain things. It is protecting the body for some
Yeah.
reason. And it will tell you then how many weeks at least you acknowledged it and how many weeks you
Yeah.
can come back and get it.
But
So
yeah.
go ahead.
But I would assume that somebody who comes to you, even if the subconscious mind isn't ready to let everything go, they can probably at least start somewhere. I mean, I'm
Yes.
assuming that
Yes.
you,
If you've come,
yeah,
I'm sorry. If you come for and you've got so many imbalances and you don't know where, or you've never had a session before, how I would show, just a show to begin with, after we get the receptivity, I would ask, is there a deep underlying imbalance that would be for whatever client's the name is, for their higher good at this time? And then
mm-hmm,
the first thing will come. It may not be a trapped emotion. It may not be an emotional resonance. It may be in the body code. It may be in Reiki. It may be in one of the other codes. You know,
mm-hmm,
it may be
mm-hmm.
in the circuits and systems. It may be in chakras. It may be in meridians.
Yeah,
But you always ask. I mean, it may be a kinesiology or a number thing. There are so many things, and you always ask because you want to do this for the highest good. You want this client to feel
yeah,
better.
yeah, yeah.
And
No,
it's beautiful when you start a session and a client is pale, and by the time you finish the session, their cheeks are pink and they have a smile on their face.
yeah.
That is the blessing.
Yeah, amazing. No, I just wanted to ask this question because maybe somebody out there isn't sure whether they should have or want to have a session. Are they
Right,
ready? But I think you just have to ask yourself, am I willing to start somewhere? And you can
right,
always move yourself
right.
up. And
Right,
yes,
because your subconscious will know. Your subconscious will
yes,
know what's safe for you to let out at what time. It will not let go if it is not safe for you personally,
yeah,
which is an amazing thing. It watches out for us all the time.
yeah. Do you want to say a few words about a heart wall and what it is?
Oh, absolutely. So many people talk about heart walls and they really don't know what a heart wall is, but it is actually beautiful. A heart wall is an energetic vibration. And this vibration can begin in utero and all the way up to whatever age you are. And this energy vibration surrounds the heart in a way to protect the heart from any trauma or pain or emotions that has already been felt by the person. And so these are present to protect, like I stated, but they're not always made up of trapped emotions or emotional resonances. There can be a lot of other imbalances. So when you work with the heart wall, you want to ask what it's made of, because sometimes it will let us know if it's made of wood or plastic or water. And that always, when you remove that heart wall, that always seems to matter to them. They always know what it's referring to and what it's around that was created by it. You can also ask how big the heart wall is. Some are many feet, some are just inches. And then you go into the heart wall itself, and each and every time you release an emotion or an imbalance, you always ask, is it safe?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're working on a heart wall, because the vibration is so strong when you're working on a heart wall, remember that one session will not get the heart wall dissipated completely.
Mm-hmm.
There can be at least up to 3 sessions before it's safe enough to release it all.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, you can have a heart wall anywhere else in your body. It can be in organs, glands, systems, but
Ah,
you can also, it can be anywhere.
okay.
But remember, there's also hidden heart walls, secret heart walls, unseen
Okay.
heart walls. There's many different kinds, but
Mm-hmm.
that vibrational frequency just keeps wrapping it. Now, even though you've let go of a heart wall and you think you have them all taken care of, you'll turn around, you'll find you had another one because you got upset with somebody, or
Okay.
an incident happened and it
Yeah.
recreated another one because it wants to protect your heart.
I have a
So it's
question. Yeah.
sure.
I think probably I've got this wrong, but I want to ask this question because there's always other people who have the same question.
Sure.
I always visualize the heart wall. Well, first of all, you already said that this isn't correct, that it was only around the heart, but also that it needed to be removed to let love into your life. But can there be other reasons to remove a heart wall?
Yes, yes. People, at times, with some people, they can come to me with chest pain. And their heart chakra will be the first thing that it will tell you, because it doesn't feel safe enough to let me know what else is going on. So we work on the heart chakra, and we work on all the underlying imbalances and the negative statements in there. And then you put in a positive statement. And then at times it will let us go into that heart wall if it's not safe before. Remember, that heart can be hurt so hard. Our heart is like our second brain, and it can be crushed if we have a relationship that is tough, or that we broke from, or a divorce, et cetera, et cetera. That heart can literally break into pieces and no connection within there. And once you remove that heart wall, the people, so the ambiance is gone, that you're holding it tight, then that allows you to feel more love and put more love out, and it draws people in, because they can see that you're not behind this wall anymore that is holding this back. Because not only do we have heart walls, we also have body walls that can create this too. So you have to make sure which one you're working with. But heart walls can certainly stop love from flowing either way. Like if you're having trouble with a relationship, it may that you have a heart wall and the other person have a heart wall, and it just needs to be worked with. It is so beautiful. You just ask the questions, and they will be granted to you. But the heart wall does have a lot to do with love. And even in a relationship, when you've been married, if we get upset by the other person, we can create a heart wall about that person, and then start being rude or disrespectful answers, or whatever you want to say to that person, and then think, oh, wait a minute, let me go check. And now I've got a heart wall because I took something wrong, they stated in it, and now I'm being. So it affects everything, actually.
So the heart wall is created for a reason, and it's created to protect ourselves. But can you maybe explain why? I mean, you did already a little bit, but if it's created for a reason, why it's so important to let it go as well?
The reason it's important to let it go, we don't personally tell it to create this heart wall. It just happens automatically by what is fed through our conscious mind into our subconscious mind. So even though it's there in an energy purpose to protect us, is it really protecting us? It thinks it is protecting us, but don't you think we need to feel the emotions of love, of tenderness, of love that's received unconditionally all the time? When you have a heart wall, at times you can't do that. The imbalance is so big. And even the person, and I have found this, that they don't love their own selves. So it's so important.
I could assume, I don't know if I'm right, that obviously the heart wall has a lot to do with energy and relationships, but how does it affect the health of your body?
It can actually make the health of your body, because if you've got an imbalance somewhere else, remember, we were made so unique and so beautiful that everything is connected to everything, and there's never a coincidence when something is imbalanced and you get odd answers. But when we have a heart wall, it can cause blockages other places, and then you have an imbalance in your health. and everybody looks at it differently. You can ask 10 practitioners the same thing and you'll get 10 different answers. But I truly feel that because we are so created so uniquely, that if our heart wall is not allowing love to flow through, or is it connected to our brain? Is our brain connected to it? Is it allowing the rest of our body to feel love and
Ah,
allow that energy to flow through there the
mm-hmm,
proper way, or is it being blocked
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because of the emotions within inside the heart wall? And so our body can't function at the wellness it needs to be
mm-hmm.
because that heart wall is so big. I found some heart walls over 500,000 feet thick,
Wow.
and it took 4 or 5 sessions to get it off. And remember, when you're working with people, you can ask that heart wall to be wrapped in a bubble so it doesn't grow until you work on them the next time, because if you don't place something around that, and even sometimes if you do, it will grow even larger until the next time you get to it, because of the emotions coming off already are
Mm-hmm.
creating more emotions that now that the top layer is off, wow, now look at all these other ones underneath.
This is just so interesting. I mean, we could probably talk for hours, but I have
Yeah.
only one more question to you, and
Sure.
that is if you could briefly share any success stories, obviously anonymously, but maybe you have just a few things that you can think of.
Sure. One that I really love because I love animals. I had a gentleman get a hold of me. His
Yeah, that's something we haven't mentioned for somebody who's not familiar with this work, that
Oh yes, it
motion coach
works
also works
beautiful on
on
animals.
animals.
Yes,
Important to
yes,
mention. Yes,
yes,
yes.
yes. This puppy was ran over, and they took it to the vet, and the vet told them to put the puppy down. The children and mom and dad didn't want to put the puppy down, so they let that puppy lay in the kennel for 2 weeks. It didn't eat, it didn't drink, it was barely alive. And when they got a hold of me and sent me a picture, I felt like my heart was ripped out of my chest immediately. So while they were on the phone talking, I'm already releasing. And by the time we got off of the phone, it was about an hour and a half session that I did while they were talking to me and I was releasing. The dog finally took a drink of water. The next day, the dog finally ate. I did 3 sessions on this puppy, and they were probably an hour and a half, some of them 2 hours. There were so many disconnections and imbalances and heartache and such pain this dog felt. And it was amazing when I got, sorry, the video back of
Okay.
him 3 days later, of him outside walking around, his tail swishing and playing.
Wow.
So that's a miracle. That's a
Yeah.
miracle. And they happen daily. They happen daily. I actually have one more that I can share with you.
Yeah.
We had a little boy. I had a little boy in London who at this time was only 3. He could not speak and he couldn't hear. So mom was pretty frustrated because all they knew was going back and forth to the doctor, and he always had his face like this and smudged up against the glass watching all the kids play. He couldn't go out and play. He only knew the doctor in his bed. So the first session, she said, Sin, how could all of these emotions be in that little boy? He's only 3. And I said, age, it doesn't matter what our heart feels
Mm.
and what emotions go through us. And there were absorbed emotions from mom and dad too, and sister, because they were all heartbroken that he was going through this. So
Mm.
by the time we had finished about 6, maybe 7 sessions, he woke up one morning and he came running into his mom and dad's room and he said, I can hear the birds outside. And he could actually speak the words that he has broken, but after he went to speech therapy to help him to get the words, his hearing was back, and he is 8 years old now, and he has no more hearing problems, no more speech problems. He doesn't have to go to the doctors anymore like this, like he was. He can hear and play and laugh and not have to hold on to your face to try to make out what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. They just sent a picture. They always, every year we check up on each other, and
Mm-hmm.
they sent a picture, and his big blue eyes are shining, big smile, and all his blonde curly hair. And
Wow. Yeah.
it was just, that someone else has their hands in the healing of all of
Yes.
this, because miracles do happen every day, and they can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
You have to believe,
Yes.
believe and love.
That is so beautiful. So, and also such beautiful ending stories and words for this interview. Absolutely beautiful. Now,
Thank
before
you.
we finish off, tell everybody where they can find you if they're interested.
Okay. For just subconscious at work, this is where I work on clients at. You can find me at subconsciousatwork.com. And then for teaching, I do this through Healers Enlightened Network. I have another young lady that helps co-teach, and it's https:// www.healersenlightenednetwork.com. And we teach 2 monthly webinars here. We're starting to, within the next few weeks, start classes in English and in Spanish, and have webinars in English and Spanish. And we have a med-bed prayer group starting, where we need volunteers to come in to help us pray for the individuals, and that'll be twice a month. And then we have a podcast.
Oh, you do?
So
Okay.
yes. So, and then we're getting ourselves out there more in other areas by doing live volunteers live on our web pages, so
Okay.
or on our Facebook pages, excuse me. So I do have
Yeah.
a Subconscious at Work Facebook page, and Healers Enlightened Network also has one. So
Yeah. That is amazing. That is fantastic. I've
thank
really,
you.
really enjoyed this interview, and I've learned so much, and I'm sure that everyone out there who's watching did as well. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
again. And
God bless you.
yeah, and we're just gonna say bye, and yeah, you can check out the website if you want more information. All right.
Thank you. Thank you so
Bye.
kindly.